Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anthony.
And I am Brendan, and this is PVTV News. Our first story is about one NFL player donating money to the children in the city. This football player just scored big for the next generation's academic opportunities. Chris Long, the Philadelphia Eagles defensive end player, just announced that he would be donating the rest of his year's salary for the rest of the game year to increase educational equality. According to ESPN, Long has a 2017 base salary of $1 million. As you may already know, I have committed my first 6 game checks to fund scholarships in my hometown of Charlottesville, Virginia, says Long. Now, I'm pledging my last game checks to organizations supporting educational equity and opportunity in St. Louis, Boston, and Philadelphia, the 3 cities that I've called home throughout my NFL career. He added, I'm playing the entire 2017 NFL season without collecting income because I believe that education is the best gateway to a better tomorrow for everyone in America. He also added, I'm encouraging fans, businesses, and every person with a desire to join in my pursuit of equal education opportunities for all students to make their own pledge. My goal is that through this campaign, my donation will be doubled by those inspired to join the effort, because together we can accomplish more. The donation is part of his Pledge 10 for Tomorrow initiative, a fundraising campaign to promote learning equity. A Dutch organization has just announced plans to salvage plastic pollution from the ocean and use it to build highways in Rotterdam. The solution is quite simple. Volker Wessels, the company leading the project, plans to gather the materials by installing barricades in nearby ocean waters. The plastics will then be transported, processed, and compressed into building blocks for the roads. Beyond its benefit to the planet, the raw recycled material used for the plastic road project is more durable and easier to manipulate and maintain. Studies suggest that nearly any type of plastic can be used, and the material is resistant to temperature variation from negative 40 degrees to 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists are already in the final stages of testing the safety of the material, and if plans go according to schedule, the first roads will be built later this year.
When you picture party crashers, you usually picture people crashing them. In this solution, instead of a person, was a stray dog just finding a dry place to sleep. But accidentally, he'll be fine, however, home as well. Martin and Pavlo Martin were trying to not last month in New Jersey Praz when it started to rain on the party, and the ceremony was moved into a tent. While all the guests were seeking shelter from the storm, they were joined by a muddy stray dog who also wanted to ravage. Wedding organization escorted the dog outside only to have him wander back in again later. The third time the stray wandered in was when the couples were exchanging vows and the dog plopped down in the bride's bed and just took a nap. The couple was nice enough to let the stray for represent and fed him food off the buffet before he left the party and went into the street again. After the wedding, the couple went to social media to hope to find the dog again once more. A few weeks when they were finally reunited with the dog, and adopted him into the family. They have named him Furry Wedding Crasher Snoop, as he became a beloved member of their family. It has been a year since the first season of Stranger Things was released, and now it is finally making its return this Friday, October 27th. After seeing the trailer for this season, viewers are getting pretty excited about how can one character, whether the Emmy-nominated Netflix permit, live up to the hype when felt it was overhyped in the first place. It has a fair amount of work to give where the last season ended. The 5 boys have a new girl, Max, to trigger the curious and confirm them, has been was quite impact as the telekinetic gifted Elvis who returned was already been teased and was plot is easily the best thing about the second flight with all these excitement settings right before Halloween. I think it's safe to say viewers will have a hard time being disappointed with this one.
Season 8 premiere of The Walking Dead aired October 22nd. This was the 100th episode of the series. The episode starts out showing the hilltop, Alexandria, and the kingdom all together listening to a big prep speech before they all split up and go to Saviors. Filled with lots of action, there was also flash forwards centered around Rick, which raised a lot of questions. This season looks like it's about to keep all fans on their toes, every episode at a time. Blind since birth, the great Japanese pianist Tsuji puts his global success down to a wide range of experiences outside music and listening to how the conductor breathes. I love sport, I love swimming and skiing, the 29-year-old maestro told AFP in an interview. The more I experience, the more positive things it brings to me as a musician. Despite his blindness, Tsuji, or Nobu, as he ID'd, has risen to become a star of the international classical music scene, playing in more than 160 concerts around the world in locations such as London's Royal Albert Hall and the Carnegie Hall in New York.
3 years after Lego's first release of a set of 11 minifigures portraying female in science field after a 7-year-old girl complained that a new set called Women's of NASA will debut on November 1st containing 231 pieces. The Lego Idea 2, 13, and 12 Women of NASA set, which the toy company announced on Wednesday, was created by Lego Idea member Mel Shock in honor of presenting with Women of NASA included Nancy Grace, Roman Guy, Humanity Salaright, and Mae Jemison. David Letterman was honored at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. last night with the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. A star suddenly cast a Letterman's friends in college included Bill Murray, Martin Short, Jimmy Kimmel, and Steve Martin paid tribute to the wacky humor and accomplishment of the broadcast icon who began his career as a wealthy man in Indianapolis, bringing.
Justin Timberlake will perform the halftime show for the 52nd Super Bowl on February the 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota, U.S. Bank Stadium on Sunday. The show will be directed by Hamish Hamilton, who filmed the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2012 London Olympics. It's sponsored by Pepsi, which has featured Timberlake in the previous Super Bowl ads. While some parents might be celebrating a baby's first steps, this mother is delighted to discover that her 15-month-old daughter is probably going to be on American Idol one day. Michelle Neely and her daughter were on the couch one day back in 2015 when the mother of 3 started singing I Love You. When she pauses to smile at her daughter Gemma Kate, the youngster glances at her mother before looking back at the camera and imitating her mother singing. Gemma Kate then repeats the little tune after her mother several more times, and each rendition is as adorable as the last. The endearing video of the Arizona family's exchange has racked up 6 million views over the years, but it only serves to get even cuter with age. There is a video of little Gemma singing I Love You 6 times to Michelle on YouTube, and I'm telling you, it is one of the cutest things you'll ever see.
When a couple didn't want to sit next to some cops at a restaurant, the police responded by paying their bill. The police just wanted to show that they weren't not the bad guys. They even paid a 35% tip. The officers were not at all mad. They hoped they sent a message to everyone about how cops are not the enemy. Actress Millicent Segar is set to star in Judy Garland in a movie about her 30 years after the success of The Wizard of Oz. The film, apparently named Judy, will take place in 1968 as Garland is gearing up for her final concert in London. The film is based on a script written by Netflix Dom Edge and will be produced by David Langston. Perryville and Camlet Films announced the news in press release on Monday. The film will show Garland as some of her toughest personal moments. According to release, Garland is fractured and exhausted at this point in her life and is haunted by her memories of her childhood lost to Hollywood.
Aline Wilkinson is a 100-year-old grandmother who loves to share her worldly advice with other people. And what better way than to counsel stressed out New Yorkers from the comfort of her living room? Wilkinson does not live in New York. She lives in Washington and communicates through a laptop and live webcam that is set up on the streets of the Big Apple. Her booth was set up by her grandson, Mike Matthews, who works as a social media professor at New York University. He says that the makeshift therapist office not only gives his sweet grandmother something fun to do, but she also gives good advice to the people attending the booth. Well, that's all we have time for. Have a good afternoon. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Anthony. Thanks for watching PVTV News.